Welcome to the PairRec San Fran Tourism channel. Our goal is to help you find your point of entrance by showcasing the top attractions within the San Francisco Bay Area. Now today's focus will be phase 6 of a series of adventures featuring the Scenic One Drive from Bodega Bay to Mendocino. Now, Bodega Bay is approximately an hour 15, hour and a half drive north of San Francisco. As you're coming up the Golden Gate Bridge, you just go northbound up to the Stinson Beach Highway 1 exit, and you just take Highway 1 all the way out along the coast until you get to Bodega Bay. That's the longer route. Faster route, you use GPS to get to Bodega Bay as you go further north on Highway 1. Now, most tourists and many locals alike think of the Scenic Drive as Highway 1 going southbound from San Francisco to Monterey. However, if you went northbound from San Francisco up the coast, you'll find just as many hidden gems and secret adventures as you would if you went south of San Francisco, and that's what we're going to be featuring. Now, phases 1 through 5, I'll put a link in the description as we emphasize all the key attractions that are in Bodega Bay. That being the case, let's get started. Now, today's weather in Bodega Bay is 61 degrees Fahrenheit with 42% humidity, 6-mile-an-hour winds, and today's date is Friday, November the 27th, 2020 at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So as I said earlier, we're going to begin our journey on Highway 1, beginning at the North Salmon Creek Beach. This is where we left off in Phase 5. Now, the North Salmon Creek Beach is at 3095 Highway 1. Now, I featured North Salmon Creek Beach in Phase 5, and the beach is really extraordinary. It has some amazing views of the ocean, as you can see right here, and there's several activities that you can do along the beach, such as surfing and fishing and swimming in the water. But also I want to emphasize the scenic views that you can obtain just by pulling over to the side of the highway, which I'll show you in a minute, at these various turnouts. You can park and then you can watch the views of the ocean and also catch the sunset. So here's one of many turnouts that you'll see along Highway 1. Where, as I said earlier, you pull over to the side, take photos, videos, and observe the ocean beach. And let me show you a different angle what you would see if you pulled into the parking space lot. So as you can see, when you pull into the actual parking stall, this is what you'll be able to view, not only the ocean, but as I said earlier, when the sun sets, you'll get that amazing sunset. The sunset's right about now during November, around 5 p.m., just before 5 p.m. Now, one of the things that's special about your scenic drive on Highway 1 is that on one side of the highway is the ocean, which I showed you earlier, and the other side of the highway, the mountains, and many of the farmlands that you'll see wildlife as well. I featured some of the wildlife on Phase 5 as well. You see like cows and goats and many other types of wildlife. So here's part of your scenic drive on Highway 1. You can see it's pretty active today. activity on the highway and in the beaches than a regular midday week. Another view of Highway 1. Now how about this shot, another shot of the ocean view. This is from the cliff. So I'm going to give you a shot of, depending on what you see as you're driving on the Highway 1, in this particular case, you'll see the cliffside views in which Highway 1 is located, and then just down the hill of the cliff is where the beach is. So here's your view of the cliffside, which is adjacent to Highway 1. As you see there, the ocean water is coming up upon the cliff. So it varies what you'll see as you drive and move down Highway 1. Sometimes Highway 1 will be right adjacent to the beach, versus as it is right now, it's kind of like on a cliff, so to speak. And then underneath the cliff, but below the cliff is where you'll find the ocean. As you can see here, you don't want to get too close to the cliff, as you could possibly fall to your death. Now this section of the cliff, you see there's beach access. There's a step well leading down to the beach. So depending on where you're at along the cliffs here, you may find the step well leading down to where the beach is. There's not a whole lot of them here, but there is a few, as you can see right now. There's a surfer coming up from the beach. So here's an up close view of the step well leading down to the beach. Another shot of the step well, although some of it is sand oriented versus just straight step well. So you do have to kind of watch your step as you're coming up and down the hill, the cliffside hill. Yet another wonderful shot of the beach from the hillside cliff. Another shot of Highway 1 going northbound. Here's a little mini trail that's on the top of the cliff. Occasionally you'll see a few of these, but they are very, very narrow. Now, here's yet another step well leading down to the beach. So as I said earlier, they do have a few of them that are along the cliffside here. Now, they do have signage indicating some things you need to be aware of when visiting the beach, such as no fires on the beach, no dogs, be aware of sleeper waves and rip currents, and because there's no lifeguard on duty. I just noticed this now. There's a little mini bridge you can see there at a distance that connects the trail leading down to the beach from the hillside cliff. So looking down at the beach from the hillside cliff, as you can see, there are several activities that you can do there. See a fisherman walking along the beach, and some people are walking within the rocks. Now, because in some portions of the beach, the ocean waves come right up to the sand, but in this case, there are several rocks that are separating the ocean from the sand. So here's a shot from the top of the hill, cliffside, as you look upwards towards the beach. Now, how about this view of the ocean beach from the cliff? You see from where we began, you can get an angle view here of how the beach looks as you're coming up Highway 1, and then again you pull over to the side, take more photos or videos. So the different angles makes a difference in your overall view. Now we're at the Coleman Overlook, which is pretty much like a turnout where you can pull over to the side, take photos, videos of the ocean. You'll see a lot of these along Highway 1 here. It's just maybe a mile or two north from the Salmon Creek State Beach. Also, I forgot to mention that all these beaches here are going to be part of the Sonoma Coast State Park, which is in Sonoma County. It'll be a while before we get up to Mendocino, which is a different county. So this is what you'll see when you pull over to the side at the Coleman Overlook. We'll give you another few more shots as well, up close shots. So when you come up to that fence on the edge of the overlook, you'll see even more greater views of the ocean and the beach. Now here's a shot of the overlook parking lot. So as we continue our journey along Highway 1, you can see you'll find these many little cove beaches that really there is no access to the beach, but they're surrounded by rocks, as you can see here. And you see, you have to be very careful about walking adjacent along the cliff. Otherwise, you might end up falling to your death. Now, as you can see, we're approaching Coleman Valley Road, just off of Highway 1. I believe this road you can use to take coming from the inland valleys into Highway 1, depending on how far inland you are. You'd have to use your GPS to determine whether or not it's okay or useful to take Coleman Valley Road out to Highway 1. You see, Coleman Valley Road is very narrow, and I'll have to give you some more insight as to whether or not this road is accessible from the inland valleys. Let's say if you're coming up Highway 101 northbound, it's possible you could take Coleman Valley Road or take a few roads connecting to Coleman Valley Road out to Highway 1. So as I mentioned earlier, really right across the street from Highway 1, you'll find not only the mountains, but also some redwood trees as well, which adds to the ambiance of Highway 1. Let me give you another shot of the redwood trees here. So here's another wonderful shot of the redwood trees right off of Highway 1. There's also motorcycle opportunities on Highway 1 as well. See if we can get away from the cyclists. Now approaching the Arched Rock Overlook. Yet another turnout with a parking lot where you can observe spectacular views of the ocean and also the sunset. So here's the view of the parking lot as well as the parking stalls. You see some people there in the background, so you can pull over to the side, take photos, or pull out a chair and sit and relax. Enjoy the incredible views of the ocean. So again, this is what you will see when you pull over to the turnout. One great view after another. So here's a sign indicating that Highway 1 is definitely windy and narrowy, and you're going to be facing some windy, narrow returns, which is pretty much the case all the way along Highway 1 from Bodega Bay all the way up to Mendocino. Now here's yet another trail leading down to the beach, but this trail is very steep, so unless you have hiking shoes on, I think it's ill-advised. So here's a little mini trail along the hillside cliff, so let's see where this leads. Well, it leads to the top of this hill, which offers yet another spectacular view of the ocean. So here's a look at from looking to the south from which we came, as we go northbound. As you can see, the views are always going to be different each step along the way as you continue going from south to north. Another shot of from where we came, from the Salmon Creek Beach. So as I mentioned earlier, you're a part of the mountains that's on the opposite end of the Highway 1. It's going to feature wildlife. So I believe those are some either cows or bulls. Can't see at this distance from the Highway 1 though. Now approaching Marshall Gulch Beach, which is part of the Sonoma Coast State Park. So here's one of the turnouts. As you can see, another example of what you can do upon turning out on the turnout. Pull over to turn on park, take photos, videos of the ocean. Again, although you saw the signage for the Marshall Golf Park, the entrance is just going to be a few feet north from that signage. I'll show you as we get closer. Well, I stand corrected. This is yet another beach called Carmet Beach. So we'll show you the entrance to this beach. There's so many beaches along Highway 1. It's going to be extraordinary. You have a lot to experience and a lot to see here. So let's check this beach out. So here's the parking lot to Carmet Beach. And so you see they also have a picnic table where you can have lunch, you network with your colleagues and friends, all while observing spectacular views of the ocean. So here's the trail leading down to Carmet Beach. And up close look at the trail. Now Carmet Beach is located at 4760 Highway 1. Now we're approaching Schoolhouse Beach. The Schoolhouse Beach is located at 5030 Highway 1. So here's another perk amongst our latest park. Here is the picnic table. As I said before, you can have lunch with your colleagues, family, and friends while observing spectacular views of the ocean. So when you come out to the cliff, then you get more of an up-close view of the ocean and also the sea rocks. So on this side of the Schoolhouse Beach parking lot, you'll see wonderful views of the mini beach as well as the hillside cliffs. So here's the entrance to the Schoolhouse Beach. And then also you can see there's restrooms as well. Not every beach has restrooms, but a lot of them do. Well, here's a more safer entrance to Schoolhouse Beach, and it's also a paved road going down to the beach. Now here's a panoramic view of Schoolhouse Beach. Now let me give you another panoramic view of Schoolhouse Beach. As you can see, you've got a few activities down there. Looks like they're camping out on the beach. Some have folded seats with a little tent over their head and body. Keep the sun glare, I guess, from getting at them. Well, there's also, it looks like condos along Highway 1. So let me see if I can find any contact information on any of these condos that you might be able to rent out along Highway 1. Opportunities on Highway 1. Now, here's a call box that's located at Portuguese Beach. Now, this is important, especially if you have a medical emergency and you don't have access to cellular. You can go to one of these call boxes and then call 911 directly. I'll show you up close what it looks like. So here's the inside of the call box. Now entering Portuguese Beach. So here's a paved road leading down to Portuguese Beach. You can see down at the end of the road there are restrooms as well. And to the left of the road leading down to the beach, you see there's the parking options, and as always the stalls are always facing the ocean. Now here's another view of the parking lot of Portuguese Beach. Now Portuguese Beach has 2 picnic tables, where, as I've mentioned before, it's a great place for having lunch, maybe even dinner, networking with your colleagues, friends, while observing spectacular views of the ocean. So this is a view you're going to see from the picnic tables. And there's one other thing I forgot to add at the picnic table. What you can do is what I did, is take a nice nap on the bench, which is really great because you can feel the nice cool breeze go right through your body, and it just feels unbelievable. Now we're going to turn around from Portuguese Beach and we're going to head back going southbound back to Salmon Creek State Beach. So as we get closer to sunset, I forgot to mention that the cellular along Highway 1 is pretty good. Actually, you'll get good cellular reception for most of the beaches that you visit. There's a few cases where the cellular isn't good, but for the most part, it's pretty good. So as you can see, within the next half hour or 45 minutes or so, we're looking at sunset, which is really going to be nice. As you can see, the cliffs are very steep along Highway 1, so you have to be very careful as you walk along Highway 1, otherwise you could fall right to your death. Another shot of another steep cliff with people camping on the beach. Let's see if we can get a wave. No. Now, here's a wonderful shot of the parking lot from one of the hills that's on the hillside cliff. Wonderful shot of Highway 1 going southbound. How about this shot of Highway 1 going southbound? Now across the highway, away from the beach, you can see almost a full moon starting to rise. So you can see we're getting relatively closer to sunset. So here's another wonderful shot of the moon just above the mountains. Getting closer to sunset. We're getting ever so close to the sunset. So as you can see, here's an angle shot of the hillside cliff as people are parking, waiting to watch the sunset. How about this? Romantic view of the sunset with your significant other. So you can see, you can watch the sunset with your family and friends. Now we're getting ever so close to that magical moment. So what could be sweeter? You've got the moonrise to your left of Highway 1, and then you got the sunset to your right. And here's the sunset to your right. What could be sweeter? I hope this scenic drive on Highway 1 going north gives you a sense of what it's like to take a day trip in San Francisco. So let's go ahead and finish off the sunset. Another final shot of the sunset. Your motorcycle options on Highway 1. One last final touch of the sunset. And she is almost almost I can see one last touch. Gone. So the sun set it at 4:52 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So now I'd like to give you some shots of after the sunset. You can see the way the sky glows in the ocean. Another wonderful after sunset shot. So one thing that's special about after the sunset is you'll still have many people on the beach getting their final dosage of these incredible views of the ocean. Here's another wonderful shot of the moon. Well, this concludes phase 6 of our adventure of the scenic drive of Highway 1 north of San Fran from Bodega Bay to Mendocino. If you liked everything you learned and saw, appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel, like, comment, share with your family and friends. And don't forget to log on to my website. That's PairRec.com, PAIRREC.com, where you can check out my blog where I tell the same story, a different story of the film shoot, but also I'll provide you with the route map that I use to take you on this incredible journey on Highway 1. Furthermore, you can subscribe to my newsletter where I'll provide you with the PDF file identifying the addresses to all the points of interest. And also I'll provide a link in the description for all the phases 1 through 5 as well of the film shoot of Bodega Bay. And don't forget to turn in to phase 7 as we continue our journey on Highway 1 going northbound to Mendocino. That's all for now. Have a nice day. We will see you on the next film shoot. Goodbye.